The spiritual landscape is full of cliches. You hear the same ideas regurgitate over and over again because people have some superficial understanding of what it means and then preach it as if it was the actual ultimate truth. But at the end, what they're trying to do is just feed your own ego with its comfortable delusions, to give you fast food so you can stay comfortable in your own little bubble while not actually stretching your own sense of self and identity towards what is actually real. So in this video, I want to annihilate all these spiritual cliches until only the real reality remains. Number one, you are not the body. The idea that you hear time and time again is that you are actually not your body, but you are a type of awareness or like floating awareness, and your biological form is just a temporary vessel. And this also kind of implies that you are not really your body and that you're actually some higher level of consciousness or some, God, so to say. I will go into the God thing specifically later, but just on this idea of you are not your body, it is wrong. You are most of all your body. How could you not be your body? The moment somebody comes to you with this spiritual mumbo jumbo and tells you you're not your body, I personally get, okay, this is like ground zero or level one. And not that there isn't a huge shift that happens for the individual consciousness once this is seen, but it is not what you actually end up discovering if you actually go all the way. Because think about it, just raw, factual, logical truth. I come to you and I tell you, I am not the body. I'm some consciousness. I am actually the consciousness. Like, shoot me in the face and then see if I'll still say the same thing. Punch me. I mean, you don't even have to kill me. Just punch me. And you'll immediately realize, oh yeah, I am the body. It is that simple. The only reason why people tell you all the time that you are not your body, but you are consciousness is because it helps you disassociate from your own pain. It helps you disconnect from all the darkness and the trauma and all of it that, sucks so much that we don't want to feel. So on one level, there is actual liberation that can happen when you gain some distance from this stuff and realize, okay, there is some sort of awareness that remains somewhat untouched from all the physical stuff, like a zero center of gravity where you actually can find yourself. I mean, I say this stuff in other words all the time, but to say that you are not your body is complete nonsense in all ways that matter. Like if you commit a crime and you're in front of the jury, they're going to judge you as your body. They're going to judge you as the physical vehicle that has done the stuff. If you personally want to mean, oh yeah, but my true identity is not actually in the body. It's kind of like this floating sense of awareness that is where I'm actually identified with. Then you are recognizing how your like lived moment to moment experience is happening in these sensations and in these moments of qualia and in the sense of experiencing something rather than nothing. But it is bound by your body, at least as you being you. If you're not your body, then you're something else. Like you become something else once you die. but just because awareness is like something that perceives all possible states of experience doesn't mean that what you individually are isn't everything that has to do with your biology. You cannot separate them. People wish to, the ego really wants to, it makes it feel comfortable, but it's not the truth. You cannot transcend the body if you pretend that you're not part of it. Cliche number 2, just let go. Just let go. Like, just do it. Just let go. Just stop everything and then just let go, and then everything is fine. There's this hope that you can just kind of click something into place and then everything becomes easy. And it's just this act of letting go stuff. But what letting go means, well, I think most people in spiritual community spaces, is to ignore their own pain, ignore their own fears, ignore their own grief, don't listen to their own thoughts, ignore their own intellectual intuitions, not feeling their body deeply. It's again the sort of thing that is being sold to you in order for you to be comfortable by not having to engage with the actual consequences of your actions. You can not let go what you're not willing to live in the present moment. Letting go is something much more active than what people pretend to be. You need to want to experience each moment for what it is in order to be able to let go of the past. And of course, just ruminating about past experiences in your head all day is not healthy. And letting go tries you to not live in the past and be in the present. But it doesn't mean that you can just ignore what is hurting you, ignore what has led you to this place, ignore the real impacts that your past has had on you and other people. Letting go doesn't mean to ignore, and it doesn't mean to just forget, because you cannot do this. You cannot just let go when it is part of you. You have become what your past made you to be. To let go of the past is to accept why you are who you are now and be here now. And then this is where you can actually let go, by moving through the emotions from the past into the present. And it's not fun. It's not this simple, alleviating thing where you just let go and everything becomes easy. It is crying and it is screaming and it is making changes in your life that change you from the person that you were before. You cannot drop all your ego survival defense mechanisms without structurally integrating them and then just saying in your head that you can let go. This is what happens so much, and you will see this also further down the list. It's that words, or like labels, are there to rob the thing of its depth. That's what spiritual people do all the time. They just say a word and it removes the nuance of what is actually going on. Because if you just let go, you don't have to explore the trauma from 3 years ago. If you just let go, you don't have to acknowledge that your finances are kind of like struggling and you need to do something to bring you out of it. If you just let go, you don't have to be conscious of the fact that your marriage is like on its dying breath. I mean, maybe that's the marriage then that you have to let go. But let go is then an inactive thing. You know, you do something about it. You reflect in a way that brings you into a new sense of identity instead of just ignoring whatever is going on. Cliche number 3: you are actually God. The realization that there is some sense of ultimate connectivity between all conscious beings is very much the idea that God is what consciousness is. So if all beings are conscious entities and consciousness is the way of the universe exploring itself, and there is no clear self or identity carrier, then there is good reason to believe that we're all one. And I explored this very in detail, the different modes of identity in this video over here. I think it's called You Are Everyone, Everywhere, All at Once. And there I kind of play into this idea. And I find that when people come to this realization of, Godhood, they usually are very destabilized. Because it is not that this realization doesn't point to something that is kind of true, because by definition, if you are all of reality, then you are kind of omniscient, all powerful, and all loving, because you accept everything. So on like a factual basis, when people talk about God, this is always what they meant. And when they realize that reality is like this and they are it, then it just makes a lot of sense. But the moment you start to say something like, I am God, or are you God, or have you realized you are God? The word God is doing a lot of heavy lifting here. Because what does it actually mean now? It's the words label thing again. You're slapping on a label, by the way, a label with a little bit of baggage. And this label then kind of points to a truth, but it also inflates your ego. Because you are not God. How are you God? Are you ridiculous? It's insane. Because you are one singular human being. You are one singular body. You're one singular experience. And you are contained in this experience in a meaningful way. You don't know everything that is going on. You are not dispersed throughout the universe. And you are very much human. Like, most of all, you are human, if you can understand these words. I mean, maybe you are watching this 15, 20 years in the future and you're on AI listening to me, but within reason, okay, you're likely a human. So, I don't even know why it has to be 20 years in the future. I just imagine some very sophisticated AI systems that are actually like super conscious and alive But yeah, you can also just put the script in a bot, and I guess it also meets the requirement. The problem is not with telling people that they are God or teaching this idea. I mean, there's a lot of problems that are kind of obvious that come to be when you say such a thing, because you kind of have to qualify it 10 times. But if you're talking to like the right audience, which I mean, it's you, right? You understand what I mean most likely when I talk to you, because that's why you found this channel. You're kind of within this algorithm of philosophical and spiritual content. So when I tell you this, you kind of get me, right? You understand what I'm saying. But if you're consuming content in order to feel spiritually soothed and comfortable in your identity, it is also still fast food, because it makes you cling to this notion that your ego is actually way, way vaster and bigger than what it actually is. It clings to the notion that you don't actually have to live your life. You don't actually have to be human, that you are beyond that. And it inflates the ego a ton. And if you get like attached to this idea of being God, then I mean, yeah, we can call it that, but you can also call it a spider, and you can also call it a tree, and you can also call it wind. You know, like what a simplification of an infinite universe. You know, like it depends pretty much on the journey that you're at. If all of this is new to you and you have like a sort of opening, be it like your sense of identity, realize that it is not as solid as it thought it is, or if you've realized that um, yeah, death is likely not the end of all existence because there's a huge interconnectivity happening. And then this idea that, oh, I am God is actually quite of like enlightening. Like, oh, this is what God actually means. Like, this is what it actually is. But yeah, the moment this word enters the picture, you are already kind of transforming it into something that it isn't, because it is not a word and it's not a concept and it's not something that you can grasp. And the word tries to make it graspable. When you go through all of this stuff, then at the end, like if you truly deconstruct your ego, you must also deconstruct the belief that you're God. If not, you are not coming back to the body and coming back to being human, which is at the end of the day all that the ego is trying to avoid. And it will find all possible ways to avoid this. Number 4, your reality is just a mirror of your subconscious. So the idea usually is that you have your own subconscious, and if you are suffering or you're lacking in financial power and you want to manifest a better life, it is because your internal vibrations are flawed and you have made bad assumptions in your unconscious, and all of these limiting beliefs, they are causing your reality to just kind of like suck, and you need to rewrite your subconscious mind, and then reality will reflect back everything that you actually want, which is the core idea of manifestation. Well, this completely ignores physics and systemic structures and the cold reality of a burning world. It weaponizes this, solipsistic idea to kind of blame yourself for everything, and doesn't really take into account how much conditions are affecting absolutely everything. And it's not just your subconscious. If it was just your subconscious, then yeah, you truly would have the power to do anything, right? But like we discussed before, you're not a god, so you cannot do this. Nevertheless, your subconscious is extremely, 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 extremely powerful, and it determines a lot of what your reality is like. And a lot of my videos are about, dissecting what is happening in the subconscious to deconstruct it in order for you to feel whole and find yourself, live a life that is, closer to your goals. All of this stuff is not complete BS, right? It exists for good reason. But the way it is sold in these manifesting terms, it is a fantasy because you cannot just will yourself into the reality that you want. You cannot think yourself into the reality you want. And you can do all, conscious work. You can become super enlightened, super understanding, super aware, have a complete understanding of reality, and still be poor. For me personally, it has been very, very helpful to deconstruct my identity and understand all of the spiritual stuff for me to build my business and get clients and do this YouTube channel and be like very disciplined and doing all of this work stuff. But at the end of the day, the like awareness and spiritual stuff part is just like one part of it. You need to actually do something. You need to put your actions into the future, and over time, through consistency, reality changes. And you might say, well, if I become super aware of my own subconscious mind, then is when I can actually start, and then is it when I can actually do it. Have you seen who are the millionaires? Who are the billionaires? They're not. I'm not talking to everyone, of course, but we have the least conscious individuals being presidents of countries. We have extremely egocentric, extremely narcissistic, extremely unaware, completely stuck in their own bubble. Like the way they've manifested is maybe through satanic rituals, but it's clearly not manifesting. It's clearly not through subconscious self-understanding. It is through ego fuel. And what this, what these narratives do of manifestation and subconscious mind control and stuff, it's actually ego fuel. They are trying to make you feel like you are the sort of person who can accomplish everything and can be super powerful and can do everything and can understand. Like it's all about how much can you just power through the spiritual truths and then manifest the reality that you want. But what do you think this is? This desire to manifest the reality that you want. For most people, it's just pure ego. It is just wanting to, get what your ego desires. And it's kind of what pushes it away too. Now, here, people get very confused. They think that this implies that true spirituality cannot involve power and cannot involve actual impact. There's huge power that comes with knowing what you want and doing it and going for it without it being fueled by the ego. And that's the difficult thing. That's the actual difficult thing, to find the way, to find the drive, find the habits, find the desire within you that is not coming from the sense of lack. It doesn't come from this, I need this to happen, or I am not enough. I need to make $1 billion, or I'm not enough. I need to have a girlfriend, or I'm not enough. I need to manifest my dream reality, or my life isn't worth living. It's this neediness that is ego fuel. Remove all the ego fuel, and in many cases, you will notice that a lot of stuff that you desire, they disappear. For me, for example, there was a lot of stuff around like sex, where the moment I understood that a lot of the like sexual dynamics are actually just about signaling to other people that you like are sexually active and that you are desired, and this is then what fuels this actual pursuit. And when I deconstructed that and realized that, it's just like, oh wow, I actually don't need this at all. I can actually be very, very happy alone. And now pursuing relationships and stuff is more fun because it doesn't come from a place of neediness. It comes from a place of being enough and being quite relaxed with oneself. Number 5, there is no self. You hear this repeated so often. There is no self. And it kind of goes with everything together, right? You are not the body, you are the awareness, you are God, you are God consciousness. Reality is a subconscious projection. The self is an illusion. And as true as a lot of this is at its core, the way it's being communicated to you is also a lie, because it is feeding on this desire for the ego to not have to actually exist as it does. It pretends that the ego mechanisms can just be thought away by saying to yourself that the self is an illusion. But just because you can say that the self is an illusion doesn't actually mean that the illusion has gone away. Just because you acknowledge that this is a YouTube video and these are pixels on the screen and I'm not actually in front of you, it doesn't change the fact that you are interacting with me as if I'm here because you're listening to my words and see me speak. The same way that if you were to hallucinate, like when you're dreaming, it's not that you're not dreaming, you're actually dreaming. So just by telling yourself that the self is an illusion doesn't make life disappear. It's a sort of spiritual reflex in order to, again, not actually exist as a human being, not actually exist as all of the stuff that is going around you. The stuff that is actually an illusion is the mechanism that makes you believe you are something that you're not. And it is much more specific and individual and precise. And this nest of wrong beliefs is huge. Like it is ginormously big, depending on how old you are, depending on how much you have seen. But there's a huge part that is an illusion. But it is not just some abstract sense of self. It is all the beliefs that you have that are wrong. It is all the worries that you have about how other people look at you. It's how you look at yourself, what you think matters, what you think meaning is, what you think happens after death, and all of this stuff. There's what you believe you can accomplish in your life too. All of this is an illusion because it's just something that your mind believes has cataloged into some file and then kind of retrieves back and believes it is reality. And this is also where the subconscious work comes in, where you notice that this stuff isn't real, and then you remove limiting beliefs and can act differently. But this doesn't mean that all of this isn't real. Like the reason I can talk about this and tell you about it is because it's not just an illusion. If it was just an illusion, there would be nothing to do about it. There would be nothing to investigate. There would be nothing to understand. Why am I doing this work for if this help is just an illusion? You, and I said this multiple times and I'm going to keep repeating it, you need to account for the illusion. You need to account for the hallucination. Just because you say it's an hallucination doesn't make the hallucination go away. So declaring yourself dead inside and just seeing emptiness everywhere is, again, just a disassociation mechanism. And now I think you're finding it a theme here. Yeah, also why I'm so passionate about this stuff. Because most spirituality is kind of surface level, but I know, and I don't fault anybody for this, when I had my first God realization, I became like, holy moly. I became so intense. Like my own sense of experience, my own sense of consciousness, it did really feel like everything was expanding and there are like higher levels of consciousness all of a sudden, and everything was so intense. And from this perspective, and this is always what happens with spiritual stuff, it is the perspective that, oh, I know everything. This is it. Like I reached the peak and I know now what all of the wisdom was about, and I understand it. And it's exactly this mechanism that should tell you that you probably don't understand it, because the need for claiming understanding. Oh, I am God. I am awareness. I understand now. This need shows that something within you, like some sort of identity, wants to attach to something. I am awareness. So the Buddhists would say, no, you are not awareness. You are not, like the moment there's a claiming of experience, I am that, you're pretty much losing, you're losing yourself in identification. And this is also why saying I am not the body for like a certain stage seems very wise, because you might be over-identified with the body and not seeing how vast their consciousness is, right? And then you say, I'm not the body, and then you see, oh wow, there's all of this other stuff beyond the body that I didn't recognize. But at the end of the day, you will have to return to the body. The truth would always be both and neither. You are the body and you're not the body. You are consciousness and you're not consciousness. You are God and you aren't God. But this, for most intellectual people, just doesn't square at all. So people make it, you go from one phase to another, like more like a spiral. And this is the natural way of things. And there's a good reason why there are a lot of spiritual teachers that go completely away from all of society and go into a cave and meditate for 20, 30 days. Because it is this amount that, yeah, has conditioned you to be how you are right now, and to truly see through all of it is a lot of work. And it won't do with just saying that you're not the self, or saying that you're God, or saying all of this. If you notice that you're consuming content in order to feel comfortable, and hey, I might be part of the guilty, right? Guilty as charged. But then you're not actually doing the work. You're kind of avoiding the work. But the beauty is, and this is, I think, where all of this really leads to, like, there are like two aspects of this. First of all, everybody just wants to control their life. And this ego desire for control is precisely the thing that kind of needs to be given up. But the funny thing is that once it has been given up, you actually become free, which is what spirituality always tells, but it is setting freedom. Why is it setting freedom? It's because the moment you stop identifying with all of these narratives and stop needing reality to be one way or another, then you're free to act. And then you're also free to become powerful and rich and do all of this this nice manifesting stuff. But yeah, I hate this language, man. I really hate it. And if you followed my channel for a while, you see that I put a lot of work in articulating myself in a way that feels novel and feels different, because I know that words carry a lot of power. And if you say just regurgitated stuff, it doesn't really change anybody, and it doesn't give more wisdom. If you like what I do, then check out my Substack. There will be an announcement for, something that I'm launching that wants to make all of this practical. You can find contentment, but it also practically empowers you. And if you want one-on-one direct contact, check out my Ego Architecture Audit in the link in the description. It's going to get a price increase probably at the end of this month or like beginning next month, because I'm phasing out this version of the audit. I'm gonna make something else that um, it's gonna be quite similar at the end of the day. Like it's actually the same audit, but it's gonna get a price increase mainly and some additions. Also, yeah, if you like this sort of content and you want to actually change your own perception of existence, then I would highly recommend you check out this video.